Hello, and welcome to what should hopefully be the last episode of this tutorial series. What I want to do for this episode is just show you start to finish how to make a level in Mario Sunshine, because I feel like it's one thing hearing it in theory and another thing seeing it in application. I just found this model online from Sonic Adventure, and it seems pretty basic, so pretty decent, like, starting map just for like a test to show people how things are done around here. So I'm not even going to bother explaining how Blender works. I don't know what this blackness here is, so I'm just going to get rid of it. Okay, so looks like this is a little island with a bunch of water. This is really weird how the water is actually a bunch of polygons. I wonder why it's like that. That is not good for Sunshine, because like, why waste extra memory on polygons that do nothing? Fixed that. Now it's just like one polygon here, honestly, so that's nice. What else do we want to do? We could add like, oh, this little freaking shoreline PNG. What is this? Probably animated in-game, but it's not gonna look particularly appealing in Sunshine, I guess. Yeah, it's gonna look gross. Alright, I'm gonna just, bam, they're gone. Alright, inside of my game, I'm gonna go to Files, Data, Scene, and then there should be a level titled, I believe it is, there should be a level titled dollpick_ex1. You're going to want to start all of your custom stages with this because it's just the simplest stage in the game, so there's like nothing that can go wrong. So if you're wondering what stage I am referring to, I'll show you it in the level editor. It is this stage right here, this slide level. As you can see, there's like nothing in this stage. There is geometry for the level, a single shine sprite, and a skybox. So that's the only three things in this entire map. It's just the stage, the shine sprite, the skybox. So this is like the easiest thing to start from, since there's literally like nothing else here. So it's just like a very easy template level to work from. So how do we make our model in Blender the same size that we want it to be in Sunshine, right? Because this thing could be really tiny in Sunshine. I could import it into the game and then it'd be really small. Or maybe the map is like way too big and Mario's only the size of like a peanut, okay? So how do we get this stage to be the correct size? My rule of thumb is inside of the level that you're editing, if you go inside of the map objects folder, by default, there's always going to be this normal block. A normal block is like hard-coded. It's always in every stage. So what you want to do is you want to take the collision model and load the collision model of a normal block and load that into Blender real quick. Just the collision model because it's really simple. So what we have here is essentially the size of a wooden crate in Sunshine. So imagine a wooden crate in Sunshine, and that's what this square is. So right now you can tell if this square right here is the size of a wooden crate in Sunshine, our level is way too small. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab everything and not the cube. So now I'm going to make everything bigger to compensate for the size of the crate. Okay, now that I have gotten it scaled to a size that should be pretty decent, I'm going to delete out that collision model because we no longer need it. Another thing, I'm pretty sure Josh fixed this issue, but sometimes your model will export rotated funkily and it'll be all wonky, so just, if you have an issue where the stage model is rotated 90 degrees, just hold down Control, hit A, and then apply transforms, all transforms, and that will like kind of like update the model to be accurate to where it is in Blender and stuff. Also, Sunshine's water is hard-coded to have like certain effects take place at like 0. So actually let me go open up the map again. So as you can see, there's this little axis right here, and you see how this red and blue lines are kind of at this elevation right here. not higher, not lower. They're at this elevation right here. This elevation right here is 0. And anything below here has there's like some hard-coded water effects sometimes if you need to do custom water. So I highly recommend, if you're having water in your stage, make sure the water is at or near 0, because otherwise you'll have some like graphical snafus. Also, if you're planning on having your stage take place like way far out from the axis, like if you make your stage and it's like really far out over here, you're gonna have problems, just because the game's not designed to have stages be completely offset from the center. If it's offset a little, don't worry about it, but yeah, just generally speaking, if there's something that you feel is probably not like professional, then you're probably gonna end up crashing this game, because it crashes a lot. Alright, so we have the stage in a way that we like it. So I'm gonna hit File, Save, and just save off a Blender file, because there's no reason not to be overly precautious. Oh, we got some more polygons that look kinda ugly. Alright, so now it's just got a little beach chair there. That's pretty nice. Ugly black polygons that are here for some reason. I don't play Sonic Adventure enough to answer why those things are there, but hey, it's a thing. Alright, so we got the stage model good. So now that we want to put this in Sunshine, I'm going to go File, Export, and then BMD, which is our visual model. So here's the stage folder. I'm going to go Map, and then inside there's Map Objects, and then the map itself. So I'm going to go Map again, and then Map again, and then there we go. There's map.bmd. Now, you might be wondering, what is this map.bmd? I'll open it up real quick. Oh wow, look at that. It's the stage. So basically, anytime you want to replace a stage, you replace the map.bmd, because that is the stage. So I'm just going to take this file path, and I'm going to make it so I export our model directly into the stage. And I'm going to replace the existing one. So here we go. Export BMD, and material _57 has no image assigned. So let's go over to this spot right here, Blender file, and then we can go over to materials and just delete this none one dot stroke. And I don't know why, because sometimes they'll just give you errors if you have them. Again, BMD map 57. Okay, 57. Bye bye. Alright, so we have file, export, BD, map, _4 is no image assigned. No problem, I don't need that material probably immediately. Okay, file, export, BD, map, 37. Okay. Wait, file, export, BD, map. Material, no image assigned. Alright, material, okay, file, export, BMD again. Alright, it didn't give me any errors this time, so let's check it out and see if it actually exists and it has been updated in our stage. So I'm going to boot up our level in the editor, and what do you know? The level is here, but we are having a whole bunch of bad texture issues, so now we have to deduce what's going wrong with the textures. Okay. Okay, well, I'm curious if I get any more info by exporting the stage manually, maybe. So let me go ahead and export this. Okay, everything, let's go File, Export, and let's export this as a DAE. Map.dae, export clad. That should have exported the model. And now we're going to open this folder in command line. We're going to open up, get our copy of Super BMD, and we're going to copy as path, my Super BMD, copying the path, bam. Okay, let's see. Get rid of those quotes because my computer doesn't like them. And then I'm going to tell it to use map.dae to make map.bmd. So I'm taking that model I just exported and telling it to generate a BMD version of it. I'm going to give it the -- rotate and that's a command telling it to rotate the model. And we'll see. Loading textures, finishing conversion is complete. Egg carrier textures, mesh egg garden has material. Doesn't seem to have given me any errors. Okay, let's see what it generated. Alright, well, I guess exporting it manually fixed whatever texture issue I was having. I'm gonna copy and paste this BMD from the, like, levels model folder that I just have in my downloads, and then I'm gonna put that into the actual stage, and I'm gonna replace it, and I'm just gonna boot it up in the level editor again to see how it looks. Oh. By the way, if you have two instances of the same level open, it'll just like bug out the second one. So just close out any pre-existing instance of the level. Alright, so now I look at it again, and it looks perfectly fine. So now that we have a model imported into Sunshine, we want to have Mario spawn inbounds. So right now Mario's hat spawns all the way up here. This is where Mario starts in the level, so I'm just gonna take Mario's hat, and I'm going to drag it over back towards the stage. I just realized I did not actually move the water level to water level, so let me go ahead and move the actual stage up and then re-export again, because it's not actually kind of near 0. There we go. Now we have the water level at water level pretty nicely, which will help out a lot in the long run. And so what direction we want Mario to be facing when he enters the level is handled by the yaw. So we're gonna go ahead and just figure out what direction is facing the shoreline. That's 90, so let's just give it like 120. I feel like that's a decent angle. It's making you look like right at that beach chair. That's pretty good. Alright, so I'm gonna hit File, Save. There is a neat quirk. So that just sets up where Mario spawns in and the position he faces, but you can also edit the place where the camera like starts at and stuff. So I'll go to tables.bin, and I believe this first camera map info, I believe that is what's correlated to the Mario spawn. So I'm going to give it that 120-degree angle that we just gave Mario, so now the camera should also start in the same direction that Mario does. Note that I opened up this weird tables.bin file down here. Essentially, there are two like layers to your like level editing. So there's like the tables layer, and then there's the like bin layer, I guess. You can think of them as just like two separate files. They do the same thing, really. I don't know why they had separate files for them. Now, we may have a visual model for our stage, but we also need to generate collision for the stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here, and before we actually just export this into Sunshine and give it some collision, I want to assign collision values to things. So right now we have a whole big old list of materials. I kind of don't know which ones were actually necessary and which ones aren't, so I'm just going to do it by clicking over here. So let me just... Alright, so we're just going to click a polygon, and when we click that polygon, it brings us to the material that it currently uses. So if I click this material, bam, it takes me to this like rock thing here. And if I click this beach one, it should jump me back to the beach texture. So anyways, once you select a material, you can scroll down, and as long as you have the collision plugin installed, there is edit collision values right here. So I'm just going to take edit collision values, and I'm going to drag it up to the top for convenience. And now what we got to do is we got to travel to the wiki page for collision values. Here is the wiki, and it gives you all these type of collision values. And then there's also Better Sunshine Engine custom collision values. I believe these values haven't been updated in a while, so I might need to. You might need to bug Josh to update them. But there are custom collision values that Josh has programmed into the game to do extra things. Depth for sand. Okay, here we go. That's the collision value for sand. Also notice that it has some things have parameters. For example, ID 7 collision is bounce collision, and that has a bounce height parameter. And if your thing has a parameter, there's this little checkmark box that says has parameter, and then you can just check that and then give it a parameter. So we're just going to make it so the beach has a sand type collision. Now we have all the sounds documented here. So let's go with sand, which is sound ID 5. So we'll just give it sound ID 5 and call it a day. So now the sand will actually act like sand. And yeah, we also want the water to actually work like water. So let's just grab our water collision here and we'll give it 256. 256 is standard water collision for Sunshine, and you don't need to worry about the sound of water. Water automatically does its sound, kinda, because it's cool like that. And by cool, I mean it's programmed awfully, but we fixed it up in Better Sunshine Engine. By the way, if you're doing water in Vanilla Sunshine, no Better Sunshine Engine installed, God bless your soul. I do not have the patience for that anymore now that it is fixed. But essentially, if there is a water plane that intersects with a slope, like you see how right here this shoreline is sloped, Mario will prioritize the water underneath the beach. You see how there's still water underneath here? The collision engine of old Sunshine will just prioritize the water underneath the beach and then make you swim in the land, rather than actually, like, walk up the shoreline. Anyways, a lot of this, like, sloped interactions with water have been majorly overhauled in Better Sunshine Engine and just made it more stable and friendly for modders. So yeah, there's like, a lot of stuff like that, which is why you always want to make your mod off of Better Sunshine Engine. There's, like, really no reason not to. We don't want the player to, like, get out of bounds in the map. So sometimes you can just hit extrude and you can make giant walls, and then you can assign them a collision value of don't wall jump. And if you assign it the don't wall jump collision, then, you know, that kind of keeps players boxed in. So I'm just going to use that as my way of making sure everything stays in bounds. Another thing worth mentioning is here, out into space, over right where my mouse thing is here. There's no collision below you, and there's no collision above you. If there's no collision below or above you, the game treats you as, like, out of bounds. And what happens if you're out of bounds is essentially, there's just going to be an invisible wall. And so if you manage to, like, get out of bounds and then you like, just get stuck, you get trapped. So yeah, the game will auto-generate invisible walls wherever there's no collision above or below you. Yeah, so let's just get this exported. So I'm going to hit File, Export, and I'm going to export this as a collision model. So let's go SMS collision model, and we're just going to replace the existing collision model for the stage. Okay, if you get an error while exporting it, a collision model tends to be that you just need to put it in edit mode. So I'm going to go edit mode, File, Export, collision, and I'm going to do it again. Ooh, okay, interesting. Oh, another one, look at that, okay. And another one, alright, well, bye-bye. Alright. Let's see, File, Export, collision, map. Oh, yep, that fixed it, alright. Yeah, so I guess that's something that can cause a collision export to fail. Is just having, like, materials with no textures or data or anything assigned to them. But, hey, the more you learn. So it was, the level we were working off of was Delfino Plaza EX1. So let's see what happens. Alright, our stage loaded just fine. Ignore the fact that the camera's all tilty right now. That is because Josh is currently in the process of developing this funky new camera mode for us. So yeah, it's just kind of like a side effect that's been happening for now. Bam. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so right off the bat, you saw I just have a bunch of invisible walls. This is something that is very common when you first, like, start making stages in Sunshine, and you realize just how annoying stage making can be. Let's just keep exploring and see what we notice. Yep, those walls are slippery. Alright. Alright. Everything seems to be normal so far, but oh wait. See this sloped ceiling that I'm walking into? If you kinda just like keep jumping in this direction, you slowly clip out of bounds, or you can hover, I believe, too. I believe you can also just hover into like a sloped ceiling like that. So let me do hovering, and I'll show you it does it that way too. It'll let you clip out of bounds. So just something to look out for when you're making a stage is sloped ceilings. They really bug out Sunshine's collision engine, and I believe that's one of the few things Josh still hasn't really fixed yet. Odd thing that's happening here is this little wall right here isn't really working in the collision model. That's really unfortunate. Also, we can notice that the satellite here, it only is visible from one side. Okay. So we're just keeping notes, taking notes, what's going on. Alright, this is just not working at all. Alright, this is beautiful. Look at this amazing stuff. So you see how I told you that the game prioritizes, like, water collision over, like, the shore? Right now it doesn't seem to be doing that, which is awesome. But as you can see, the game prioritizes the beach underneath instead of this giant missile. Which is kind of lame. Once you get high enough and, like, it'll pick the other one, but, like, you know. Yeah, the game's just kind of a bit weird like that. The collision is very jank. It is Sunshine after all, and you can't take the sunshine out of Sunshine sometimes, you know? And we'll just go down, and then up. Suddenly the collision doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, and invisible walls aplenty. Plenty of invisible walls. Alright, our shadow is looking pretty, like, fucking jet black. Like, it doesn't look like transparent or anything. Water also doesn't look transparent. These might be things we want to fix. And we'll take this one step at a time. Yeah, I don't think there's too much else to check out. This is a pretty small map. Oh yeah, also, you can see our green bar is our memory bar, and we're doing pretty good on memory. This little stage is only, like, half of the game's memory right now, so that gives us plenty of memory for, like, objects and enemies to put in the stage and whatnot. Before we go back and fix up some bugs, I want to go ahead and see what it would be like if I had a BX and start. That'll reset. BX and start. Alright, I'm gonna go over, and I think I left collision fixes turned off. I'm doing this off of Sunburn because why not? I like my own mod. Yeah, I have collision fixes turned off, so let's turn collision fixes on and see how our stage's geometry is handled with those fixes turned on. BX1. Alright, I'm just gonna try and reorient the camera to Scenario over here. I don't know if that even helped it all that much, but it was an attempt. Oh yeah, in between recording a couple episodes of these tutorials, Josh, like, completely overhauled the debug menu, but as you can see, it does print the controls on screen, so that should be a help to newcomers and stuff. So anyways, with Josh's better collision fixes, look at that! I turn collision fixes on, suddenly I don't even need to worry about fixing this issue. So as you can see, the benefits of better Sunshine Engine are freaking immense. And yeah, you definitely want to have better Sunshine Engine installed in Sunshine, because otherwise you got a bunch of stupid stuff to deal with, such as that collision. That collision, no good. Oh, look at that! This slope over here works now, too. So I'm not going to even bother fixing that, because better Sunshine Engine. However, I don't think Josh fixed this quite yet, so we will have to go back and fix this in our collision model. Is there any other spots that the collision model would do that sort of thing to us? Oh, collision here seems... I could probably simplify the collision here for that chair. Let's see. Maybe we should give this beach umbrella some bounce collision too. That could be fun. But yeah, this is a pretty decent preliminary test for this, I'd say. Okay, alright, I think the first thing I'm going to show you guys how to tackle is these invisible wall issues. As you can see, you get stuck and they're no good and they ruin your level. Because, you know, why would you want invisible walls? There are 2 causes of invisible walls and stuff in this game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into XYZ mode just so I can get out of that. And I am going to... Ooh, I'm in game mode, it wouldn't let me. I'm going to toggle the info over here until it gives me collision stats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move around and see how high I can get the move lists to go. Which, right now, it's just a move list of 1. This is probably a bad example for a stage to do this on, but there's like a particular mathematical formula for calculating the memory consumption of the stage. I forget if I mentioned this already, but everything in this game, like memory-wise, is pre-allocated, meaning you don't really need to tell the game how much memory is needed for things, except for one thing, and the only thing where you do pre-allocate the memory is the stage itself. So it kind of sucks for us. So I'm going to show you how you allocate memory for the stage. Map. Okay. Unknown 80, unknown 80. So these unknowns 2 here are the X and Y border of the level. So what I'm going to do is, hold up. There's the shine sprite at the bottom. I'll just take him. He's quick and easy of our level. Alright, so now we have our shine sprite here, and I'm just going to move him in this direction until it's like the furthest extent I want people to go inside of the level. So let's say like about at this distance away from the center. So let's see. So right now we have our shine sprite. Looks like 8,718 units away from the center of the stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pull up a calculator. Alright, so this is the distance from like one end of the map to the center, is that number of units right there. But we want to have the distance of the entire map from this corner over near the whatever this thing is, all the way to the other side beyond that dock over there. So we want to include the whole distance. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our 8718. Let's go 8718. And then we're going to multiply it by 2. And that'll get us our approximate distance of how many units across the map is. So let's see, that's 17,000 units, 436 units. And what we need to do is to get the amount of the map border. So let's go back to our map object. Our map has 80 and 80 for its borders. So you might be wondering, well, 17,436 is way bigger than 80. Why is it like 80? And the answer to this is because that value is this value essentially, but divided by 1024. So what we're going to do is take this value and divide by 1024, and we're going to hit enter. 17. Alright, so that is the approximate value we want our X border to be at. So I'm just gonna make that 17. And since our map is relatively kind of square, like, I'm just gonna give 17 to the other border too. So let's just go 17, 17. Going from 80. So basically, if you think about like Minecraft is a game that's loaded in 16 by 16 block chunks. Sunshine kind of does a similar thing where it loads in level geometry in chunks, sort of thing. And what we're telling it is the entire stage is going to be 17 chunks by 17 chunks, is what we kind of just told the game there. So now the next value right here, this is going to be the total amount of triangles in the model, or just in the stage in general. So I'm going to go back over to here, and we can see the number of triangles is 1566. Now, just because Sunshine is picky and sometimes this thing might be inaccurate, we're going to add like 200 to that just for safety. So I'm going to go 1567 1766. So let me go over to here and 1766. Alright. And that is the amount of memory we need pre-allocated for the triangles. And then this second value is going to be the static and move lists. I'm going to save state here just so I can show an example of like a different stage's static and move lists. Example of the static and move lists and how they work in a stage. So you know how I just said that Sunshine handles its game in chunks like Minecraft? So if it loads and unloads things in chunks, what about when you're standing on a polygon in between two chunks? That's what the static and move lists are, I'm pretty sure. TM, hopefully. I kind of don't know for sure. So anyways, what we gotta do here is we gotta find... move lists, I believe, also has to do something with moving collision. So basically, you want to find the spot in your stage where the collision is at its absolute, like, the move list is at its absolute highest. So I just know from experience with this stage that the move list, like, skyrockets up to, like, 180 over near this windmill. And that's, like, the highest spot on the map. But you kind of just, like, walk around until you find the highest spot that you can get the move lists to go to. So yeah, the highest place I could get move lists to go to was like over here, and it had like 180 for a second. I saw 180. So what we're gonna do now that we have that information is we're gonna go back to our calculator, and we're just gonna clear everything, and we're gonna take our the static lists, 19,457. So 19,457, and then we're gonna add the highest value we ever got from move lists. So I'm gonna go plus 180. All right, and then after that we're gonna add another 200 just for safety, and we get a value of 19,837. I'm just gonna round that up to 20,000 because why not? So we're gonna make this second value here 20,000. Alright, perfect. And then this last one is warp lists. And I don't really know how to calculate warp lists accurately and what to do with them. I recommend not messing with them unless you absolutely need to, because not even Josh has fully explained it to me. Alright, let's see how many invisible walls still exist. Alright, right off the bat, it looks like that invisible wall issue we were having, like, right in front of the level, no longer here. So there was an invisible wall that was over, I keep bonking, over, like, around here. Yeah, that's fixed. So yeah, it looks like pretty much all of our invisible wall issues are completely gone. Uh-oh. Oh no, there's still an invisible wall. Whatever shall we do? So there is something else that can still cause invisible walls, and I don't believe... oh, wait. Oh, there is a second polygon here, isn't there? Look at that. Okay, so you see how, like, the invisible wall is generating specifically along this polygon. This is kind of common. This is an issue, I believe, that is caused by the game's, like, collision engine sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what's going on. Right, so here's the polygon in question. Let's see what happens when I grab him. Okay, you see how, like, the bottom of this isn't really connected to the shoreline right here? Like, it makes this nice hole when I move it. There's this hole. Essentially, sometimes when you're modeling a stage in Sunshine, there is extremely small invisible gaps. You know how I told you when there's no collision above or below you, it'll just make an invisible wall and it'll just not let you go anywhere? That's what I think is going on here. It might be. So there might just be a really small gap in between this whole polygon here, and that's kind of like what might be causing it. So a way to fix this issue, if you run into it, is essentially just take a piece of collision. So I'll just take this square right here, and I'm just going to duplicate it, bring it down below the map, and then I'm going to just make a giant square of collision. I'm going to scale that down a little bit, because the bigger your collision is, the more memory it takes up, and yada yada yada. So anyways, just put like a thing of collision below your stage. So now, whenever it tries to go over the slope, instead of saying, oh, there's an invisible wall here because there's no floor or ceiling above me, it goes, oh, there's a floor below me, let me just keep going. And then it just like fixes some collision bugs sometimes. I'm not too certain that's what this bug we encountered was. It might still just be a memory related issue, so we might just need to continue adjusting memory. This thing is like paper thin, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this drop down here, face orientation. Awesome. So we can see which direction walls are facing. Right now everything blue is like has collision, and everything red is you'll pass through it if you go from that direction. So like, for example, if I was out here, I could walk right through this wall because it's red. So I could just walk right this way, and then when I tried walking back, I couldn't because it's blue. So that's kind of how stuff here works. I'm just going to grab all these faces and hit E for extrude, and I'm going to extrude it downward so it's blue. So now we have some nice collision here, so Mario can jump off of it correctly and stuff. This spot right here was kind of giving us issues, so I'm just literally going to hit extrude and then vertical, so I'm extruding it directly down and just making some invisible walls here, and that will make it impossible for people to clip out of bounds here, at the cost of being inaccurate to the actual visual model. So those were our like 2 collision issues that we had found that weren't related to like Better Sunshine Engine's fixes per se. So let's go back and we can turn off face orientation because it just gets ugly, you know. Oh, that's right. We wanted to edit this chair to make it a little bit more collision friendly, because right now that's a lot of polygons for collision. So let's go ahead and we want to give this beach umbrella some bounce collision, so let's see what material this has. It has 2 materials, and we need to give both of them bounce collision. So let's go back to our collision wiki. So you've given the umbrella some bounce to it. We probably also want to give the shadow collision, because this is the like only shadow we have in the entire stage. 384. Thank you, Blender. That's super cool. Alright, well, that's the collision. Also, there's a fun thing you can do, and you see this unknown variable. That, I believe, the only use of it right now is just for shadow collision, is the only use that we know of. Where basically, you can have, like, shadow collision, but instead of, like, it lets you, like, have this footstep sounds match the collision under it, instead of it just having its own collision, basically. I think this should be like most of the issues, hopefully, for the collision model. So let's go ahead and hit File, Export, Collision. Alright, we're back into the stage. Let's see what goes down. Alright, so now Mario is darker when he's standing on the shadow collision, lighter when he's not. So it's doing its job there. Here is a chair, and it is kind of more generic collision. Now it's less goofy. That does indeed bounce me. Alright, and let's see if there's still an invisible wall here. There appears to be no invisible wall. So it was just putting that triangle of collision underneath the stage because it just thought there was like a little invisible wall here. So you just put that giant triangle underneath the stage and that fixes the issue. So yeah, now collision model is feeling pretty good. So yeah, let's fix up these last few visual model things. Alright, here's material. And surface visibility, front and back. Bam. So now it will render in both directions. So front and back. The other way I was going to suggest we fix that issue is just to make it 3D like we did in the collision model. So you see how in the collision model the satellite is 3D? So that can also, if you just extruded it, it would make it a 3D shape, and then you'd also solve the problem that way. I wonder if this water texture already is transparent. So let's see here. Give it opacity, and we're gonna give it like 40%. Now it's pretty transparent. I'm just gonna hit File, Save, and save changes. Awesome. So the texture itself is now transparent. I'm just gonna close out of this for now. Maybe it was this. You take the textures alpha and then apply it to the materials alpha. That's probably what it was. And then okay. Oh, blend mode. Blend mode. Alpha clip. Export DAE. Map.dae. And we're going to use our script again. Alright, so share water. 234. Pixel alpha. Always pass. Hey, there we go. That's what we wanted. So as you can see, transparency has been restored. Hey, would you look at that? The water is transparent as we expected. Look at that. Transparent. Woohoo! So yeah, there's some like fancy material properties you can edit with ReStudios. Definitely check out that application. It is super nice. I'll probably leave a link to it in the description if I didn't in like a previous one. But yeah, so this is probably where I'm gonna leave it for this episode. This shows you how to kind of get like a stage going. And get it going well. Also, one final note before I leave things is collision models. Let me show you one thing. Collision models, you want to make them kind of low poly. I'd say imagine in your head somewhere in between like N64 and GameCube, and make your collision models like that. So let's see how many tries this guy is. Statistics, and you can see that the collision model for Bianco Hills right here, collision model is a total of 6,850 tries. I recommend keeping your collision models anywhere from like 5,000 to like 8,000, and you can push it up to like probably like about like 12,000, but you're really asking for trouble if you're doing 12,000. But you really want to have as little collision triangles as you humanly possibly can, really, because the collision takes up a lot of memory. So yeah, just a fair warning. Definitely try and make your collision model have not a lot of polygons.